Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Disco Elysium. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you chose to join me today, because I think this is sort of a picket line. The workers are on strike right now here in Martinique, and by the way, I know where Martinique is. It is indeed one of the Caribbean islands. It is, however, part of France, an insular, that means just it's an island, insular part of France, and Scab asks a man with jolly eyes tilting his head. Yeah, so I'm not sure if they are still part of France. But no, I'm not a scab, I'm a cop.
I was just messing with you. No one's ever seen a cop scab.
Oof, that commentary right there. His smile deepens his wrinkles even more.
Imagine, you cops going on a strike, but then another cop comes in and says, let us cop for less money.
He chuckles and then realizes, yeah, that wouldn't work. We're all class traders. We can't do that.
Speaking of, what brings the RCM here, to the wild north? Come to see the strife?
The strife. Huh. So Martinique is one of the islands. It's actually one of the southernmost islands of the Caribbean. I don't actually know if it's part of the Caribbeans or not, but they have the euro. They're just part of France. And I believe they speak French, and that's why we hear those accents. And probably Kim is that the accent is French accent or somewhere thereabouts. There could be also, I'm not sure. I didn't look into the languages, but there probably is a Spanish-speaking people there as well, because you know there's inter-island communication and all that sort of stuff. What's the strike about, anyway? You know, he says. Serious business, he smiles. I'm sure the big boss would be glad to tell you. You'll have to ask him first. He's a chatty guy, says my suggestion. He wants to talk about the strike. Return once you've met the union boss and you're on a better footing with the organization. Yeah, I've come to Martinez. Martinez is not Martinique. Oh, I looked up Martinique. I was talking about Martinique. I might have looked up the wrong thing then. Martinez. I don't know Martinez. I know Martinique. That's why I looked it up. Either way, I've come to Martinez investigating a crime. A murder. Murder, huh? That sounds like a lot of work. Hard work. You'd never see me investigating a murder. You're right, it's almost impossible. I'm 91% sure I'll never get it solved. Is that a statistic in there somewhere? I think that might be. You know what? I have no idea what I'm doing. He whispers back, that's okay. I have no idea what I'm doing either. I don't even know what day it is, he thinks, and then decides, don't tell me. It's a better day that way. Yeah, I need to know what's behind these gates. I'm exploring. Oh, my friend, I respect the right to roam. The open range awaits. He gazes over the roundabout with a glint of longing. Does that mean you can let me through the gate? I don't operate in that capacity, he says. I'm not a grantor of passage. He takes a swig and points up the stairs with his flask. The passage grants itself? Huh, that's simple, huh? Just walk in? Aye. Walk right past Measurehead and go in. Past Measurehead. Oh yeah, the 2.5 meter tall Seminese supremacist there. He points to the bridge above the gates. Walk right past him. Man, what war happened here? Seminese. I don't know what Seminese means. Either way, this might be related to the racist we met before. Because he definitely... He didn't say any name like this, though. He definitely was a supremacist of sorts. Either way, that's the person I'm gonna walk past, right. Or right past. Right, I'm gonna say. And he says, then press the button to unlock the door. Uh-huh. Then go past him again. Okay. And you enter the arbor through the office. Está. Está? Sure. For some reason, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that easy. Oh, don't worry, he says. I'm sure it's not completely impossible. For example, you could best measure head in a physical confrontation. Or you could convert to his Seminese supremacist worldview, or, He strokes his mustache. Maybe it actually is completely impossible. Is any of the scab stride converting to his worldview? Jean-Luc himself says, mañana. Actually, call me mañana. Which I believe means tomorrow, not morning. But it might mean both, because morrow is morning, and tomorrow is like... Anyway, he says, Jean-Luc himself would say the philosophy has proven overly heroic for the scabs to convert to. Not enough intuition. Huh. Has anyone ever bested him in a physical confrontation? Not yet, no, he says, fixes his eyes on you, evaluating your prowess. He's incredibly strong. Well, then he's gonna kill me with his looks. I've died to a lamp, so yeah, got it. Another thing. Sure, the man whistles a jaunty tune, the wind rustling his whiskers. I'm a bit short on money right now. Can you give me some of it? Sure thing, my friend, I can help you out. He flips a coin towards you. And I have hand-eye coordination. Try to catch it. Aha! The coin lands into your hand as if it has always belonged there. The swallow returns. Appreciate it. The swallow there being the bird, I assume? Anyway, he says, always glad to help out the RCM. Shame I don't do more. Things are meager at the moment due to, and he nods towards the protesters. You know, the winter's fat. The winter's fat is slowly running out and all. Still better than scabbing, though. Huh. The winter's fat. Did I say the swallow? Was it me that said the swallow? It was, wasn't it? The winter's fat. That sort of sounds like they have... The winter for them is better for their economy or something. And maybe it is related to, like, whaling or something. Although you think whaling... I don't know what situation whaling even is right now, let alone in the future. If this is indeed the future, which I believe it is. The Union has problems getting by? No, nothing to worry about, really, he says. The jam's a bit of a mess. Cargo can't get in or out. The rationing is a bit strict here, is all. Supplies should last the strike, though. Huh. Every little bit helps, you know. I'm always glad to help out when possible, not like these slithering scabs. He looks at them in disbelief. Nice talk. Gotta get moving. Okay, so if you don't know what a scab is, that is somebody who breaks the strike. Or not necessarily breaking the strike, but just not adhering to the strike. It depends on the situations. It can mean multiple things depending on the situation. Let's see what we have over here. A notice says, in case of a strike, press button behind guard. Behind this thing, a hermetically sealed door, locked by electronic means. Okay. It's very noisy up here. More than enough to please a woman, says that person over there. Let me save over here. And we got something going on. There's no lock picking or door kicking this one. Measurehead makes all men quiver. Oh, I think she's talking about Measurehead, that guy over there. She doesn't talk to me, though. Hey, Measurehead, I'm very smart. I dream about you all the time, says that one.
Your body betrays your degeneracy.
My degeneracy. Degeneracy is a tricky term. So he's a Seminese supremacist. So it might be the people of the Caribbeans or one of the people of the Caribbeans or something like that. Degeneracy is a very, very interesting word, historically speaking, because it literally means to fall away from your gens, which means people. But of course it can be used in different contexts. I suspect in this one it does not. So yeah, basically it's closely related to culture, historically speaking, but also very, very closely related to race and racism in general. So let's see. He says it in all caps, though. He talks in all caps.
Yeah, Measurehead. His body totally betrays his degeneracy.
The young woman at the giant's side agrees. Don't say anything. Size him up first, says my authority. That's an interesting... I don't think I can, though. Can I? Say nothing, size him up first, I can. What do you mean my body betrays my degeneracy? Let's see. My body does not betray my degeneracy. I disagree. I don't know if that's gonna work, though. But my authority says that. I probably will give in to that. Let's say nothing and size him up.
Are you admiring my morphophysiology?
He's very quiet. He is. A ripple of muscle passes underneath his skin. He lets you look.
It must be frightening to stand in the shadow of this racial pinnacle. Be calm, Sandwich. You are not in danger because you are not a threat to me.
Well, that's very good to know. I am in danger, though. There's light over that way, so I can die. Also, he says racial pinnacle. I don't know if pinnacle is a French word, but it would be more sense if it were inverted, because that's how French works. The adjective comes, or the modifier, I guess. This is still an adjective in English, I think, but it comes after. Well, it doesn't have to, but it normally does come after the noun, or the thing that it's referring to. And I think it still works in English. It would still, like, you invert that, it would still work. It's not correct English, naturally, but that would make the point. I can buff out my chest and still say nothing. I would get my chest buffed into immediately. What do you mean, my body? Let's see, my body does not betray. My body is unimportant. I'm the police and we need to get into the harbor. That sounds good. Let's go ahead and say that.
That is precisely the negligence that has led you to succumb to Balrul.
His face contorts in disgust, as if you were smelling a dead rat.
You reek of it. An invisible sword of Balrul emerges from your throat. You cannot see it, but others can. It is making the woman in my company sick.
That would be mocking if I said, Kim, is this really so bad? Do I smell really that bad? Al Ghul. Is that alcohol? The invisible sword of alcohol emerges from your throat. You cannot see it, but others can. It is making the woman... Oh, I see. Let's get Kim into this and see if he can help me out. He's just observing right now, like a scientist or something, being like, this lab rat over here is about to get himself smushed. Or something. Kim, is it really that bad? It's like a rat crawled into your stomach, got drunk and drowned. You're right, I'm an alcoholic. Now I need to enter the arbor.
No, you don't. You need to get another drink. Occidental Haplogroup B4 is done giving orders around here. The influence of the ham sandwich race is waning.
Show him the ham still got it, says the authority in me. I am the police and I need you to comply now. This is a... What kind of check it is it? It is a medium one. Can I see my character from here? I can indeed. It's a medium. I meant a middle one. So it's a psyche one. Do I have points? No, I don't. Okay. Don't scare me. The race stuff isn't important here. That's the one way of looking at it. It's interesting. I don't know which one of this. I'm trying to either get into the head of the character or get into the head of the writer. But either one would work. Either one of these. So any, meeny, miny, mo. It's this one. Okay, I'm going with this one. The race stuff isn't important here. I just need you to help me do my job, please.
Begging for help. Attempting to pass via for cooperation. How far the Occidental Haplogroup has fallen. You were once a noble and powerful race.
I think he's got his... I'm not sure what he's talking about.
You gave the world eugenics, electricity, and powerful weapons of war. Like
and world slavery. And
aircraft.
nuclear bombs.
You made great gains in metallurgy, race theory, and statecraft.
That's why I was saying, man, you got this all wrong, but I sort of knew that from the beginning. Unless, of course, it was a the way he's treating me, it can definitely be proof of a lot of things regarding his worldview. But it could have also been just a sort of that the other guy, was calling him a Seminese supremacist when he was not. I don't know the situation, the racial situation here. But if indeed this is a... If eugenics... If you don't know what eugenics is, look it up. I talked about it before, yeah. Aerostatic aircraft. Wait, what's that? Helicopters? I don't know what that means.
You dominated lesser cultures, like the deformed Hemians and the inexplicably potato-obsessed Quakers. But now your ascent to the genetic summit has halted. You are obsessed with sadness and with frivolous pop culture.
Yeah, the racist language is all here. So all that I need to know after this is what exactly started all of this, because the setup is all here. He's a Seminese supremacist.
You will be superseded. Isn't that right, babe?
It is, baby, yeah. You know it.
There is a button right behind him, just out of reach. It must be one that opens the one that opens the door to the harbor. You're right about all this, I'm gonna say. Now I just need to need you to let me go into the harbor.
Enough with this begging. You should leave the stage of history with dignity by inviting the other races to a great world war. Bring your troops to the Seminine Islands and to Boogie Street, and we will pulverize you. When you are gone, we will build a museum for you. The walls will be lined with bottles of Al Ghul, your beloved beverage. Inside, we will store the odes to homosexuality called art, and your microcephalic skulls.
Microcephalic. Well, my physical instrument is not very formidable. Wait a minute. Oh, formidable is the check? I was like, but that's not what it is. No, conceptualization. That's the imagination thing. I need to come up with an answer that he'll see as correct. Is that what it is? I'm gonna subscribe to his advanced race theory. Let's go with that. Oh, I am gonna throw myself off this over here. Go ahead, don't be shy. Just ask for race secrets. No, I'll better not say anything on this topic. And I can't try it again. Even though it is a white one. Put skills into it, yeah. That's how it works. That's understandable. Jean-Luc Measurehead is a sage and an intellectual giant of race theory. Who are you? Handmaiden of Algol? You serve the Union, don't you? Aren't they white? Okay, so we have the white race here, which is also important, because it's not... that is an interesting... The history of whiteness is an interesting thing as well, because it's a modern construction. So it could be that we are so far in the future that it stopped being a thing and it just became something else, another notion or another name or whatever. So let's ask that. Don't be vulgar. White or not has got little to do with this. The race enigma runs much deeper than that. Oh, so maybe it does not. Ooh, that is interesting if that's the case. That is a really weird thing. I hope they go that way. But that is interesting that he, yeah, so I don't know that the white race exists as a social construct, which is all that races are in general. They're, in general, in specific, they're all social constructs. But the fact that he treats it as vulgar for me to look at the color of the skin, because they're also white, I'm not sure if they're Seminese or not. He turns his eyes towards the harbor and seemingly bored with you. There must be some friction there. He's keeping it well hidden, however. Yeah, but you still serve them, I'm gonna ask. How does that factor into your life? Mr. Claire is a man of vision and means. He has the will to confront polycultural capital. Something your race naivistic communists naive. I have seen this word translated into naivistic in other games, or maybe it was in this game. I've seen it in other games, I think, and it's naive. I mean, naive communists never did. The polycultural capital. I don't know if this is actual historical communists or just in this world. Also, to serve is noble. It takes discipline. Your petulant individualism has only contributed to your race failure. It is lax and moronic. So he's coming off as basically a fascist. The fact that he praised right at the beginning, I mean, I suppose it's kind of tricky to see it all in a single breath. It's difficult. The fact that he praised eugenics in specific, and of course powerful weapons of war and whatnot, but then that is sort of a hint, but I can't really tell you if that is indeed supposed to be a hint or not. It's sort of a hint, the Great World War. But more than he attacks homosexuality over here and art, and obsessed with culture, which is, they tend to be very associated with fascism in general, and then attacking communists here, although it could be, you could attack communism and not be a fascist, there's criticism to be had. Specifically from an historical perspective, definitely there's criticism to be had, which is what he's coming from. But that could be a hint as well. And then, this is for me the most interesting one, because it's the hardest thing to grasp, historically anyway, with fascism. And of course, when I talk about fascism, we need to talk about historically, in the sense that we need to analyze what it is, because it's not a predefined thing. It's what people make of it. So it's what do people who are fascist or were fascist praise, and discipline is usually a very, very strong part of it. What he says, the petulant individualism has only contributed to your race failure. That individualism is also, this is the take on individualism that is common in fascists, is a very specific one, because it's more the take that every person, every man, often very, very very gendered language is used, but still, every man has to be his own hero, but still a hero in the service of the race, of course, and in the service of the culture, if you're making it an euphemism. And specifically what he's saying is definitely there, individualism here in the service of the race. So individualism is my jam. My jam is a mysterious fourth thing. That's so cool. That's obviously meant for me to be like, for me as a player to be like, I don't want any of these. I'm gonna say that, because I don't know. Actually, let's see if we can choose any of these without trying to anger him. So I'm no communist. It's probably gonna attack me based on that, because I'm sort of focusing on the very, very tiny thing in this whole thing. Communism is pretty cool. Then he probably is going to attack me. Well, not only because I'm associating with something actually, I don't know, because it could be, considering it's kind of complicated. I don't know where he's coming from. I would guess from the opposite side of the spectrum, but let's go with that. Communism is pretty cool. Idiotic communism is the single greatest contributor to your race descent. Everywhere around you, the fruits of its failure to challenge the world order. Another one. Yeah, this dialogue is just full of that. Individualism, rock and roll music, sexuality. No, not sexuality. That would be what? You don't have what? Sexuality is a thing. No. Sexually transmitted diseases. Yeah, it's interesting that rock and roll. This is very interesting from a meta textual perspective as well. I don't know what in this world where communism came. Rock and roll music, even though it's the history of rock and roll music is definitely the history of a genre that's meant to stick it up to the man in a capitalistic society. and has its roots definitely rooted, or definitely in sort of the left side of this political spectrum. To say that it is from communism is a little bit blindsided. But I think this second part definitely drives the point in, because he has no idea what he's talking about, which is also another indicator of the whole fascism that we've been seeing in him. So he's just being depicted as that. I think it's very interesting. It's very interesting because it's consistent. I like it's I like it. Above all, rampant multinational finance is reigning large, and that's an euphemism for anti-Semitism, or rather, he is anti-Semitic, but not necessarily right now, because this is a metatextual commentary here. This is supposed to be an allusion to it. Still reigning large. Tell me, where have you gotten your love for pathetic communism from? He leans closer. Degenerate youth culture? Rock and roll music? I've gotten it from disco, actually. Ooh, that I don't know if I should go with that. Youth culture does not affect my thinking. Yeah, let's go with that. That's interesting. It's also interesting that it's associated with youth. I don't know if that is the case, for example, at the first half of the 20th century. I'm not sure. Huh, that's an interesting question. I never thought about it. Because of course, you know, the second half of the 20th century worldwide, and in the generation gaps and all the divides of political thinking can be very different from the first half. So certainly in the second half we have, and of course in the beginning of the 21st century, we have very specific gap in regards to who is more towards the left and who is more towards the right in terms of youth and older people. I wonder, I don't know. Of course it does. You are a degenerate individualist and a rock and roll rebel, a pawn of international finance, just like the rest of your ram-colored race. Yeah, it's sort of, Okay, so maybe it's inconsistent. Maybe, I don't know, because he said it was crass for me to say white, and then he calls me specifically for my color, and specifically my race has to do with the color of the skin, which is, I suppose you could definitely have, the Seminoles could be a multicolored race, and my race could be a single-colored race. That definitely has an historical precedent, though. That's definitely a thing. It just depends on who has the power to define what race is. Because at the end of the day, racism is about that. And specifically whiteness, historically speaking, is about that. Who has the power to say what race is. There's a reason why we look at a huge continent like Africa. And I say we, but it's complicated. But why society, at least Western society, looks at, and Northern Hemisphere society, looks at Africa and thinks of a whole race. And not just even, like, evidently there's multiple there's multiple races or multiple colors of the skin in Africa, just from the normal. I'm talking normal people that have lived there for centuries. But even those, even like southern hemisphere Africa, which I believe. No, actually, then you get down to Zambia and down there. The colors change. It's kind of, I'm not very cultured in that thing. But the thing is, there's a reason why we think of them as African people, as all the same race, when they have enormous cultural and genetic and just family ties and complete different. They're completely different one from another. A lot more different than for example, than for even North Americans, for example. And we still see a racial divide between the white North American and the Latin American person, where there is a lot more closeness there. Because, of course, race is all about that historical distinction and who defines what and all that sort of stuff. And, of course, in regards to Africa, it has to do with the racialization of slavery, which is a whole different thing, but it's complicated. Doesn't matter for right now, but I think the whole white thing was a little bit of a throwaway line. I am not surprised you enjoy it so much. This has happened to many of the side products of the inevitable cultural victory of the Seminese race. Let's not be dismissive regarding who they are. I would like to ask, but from a role-playing perspective, I won't. I would like to ask because I'm doing a Let's Play, but I also am out of time for the day, so let's pause the game, maybe? Can I pause the game? I can pause the game. And say goodbye for right now. This game is getting very, very deep, very, very fast. And I kind of... Super was not expecting that. I got a hint. I got a hint of the way the game handled some subjects right off the bat. The first line that I remember is the part of about my pants being stained in cum. And how it was handled in a very non-joking way, which is, I was like, this is interesting, this is different. And then the discussion with that lady that we found upstairs and down below. This is a very, very unique game. And I might, as always, I might not be fully prepared to talk about the things that I'm going to talk about. Like the Martinique thing, that we're not in Martinique. In between episodes, I'm going to look up Martinez and see if it exists. It might be there as well. I don't know. I doubt it is, actually, because the names are too close to be there. And also, I'm gonna look Seminese, because that might be an actual culture and people, or it might be just people rather than called. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, as always, feel free to leave your comment below. Leave your like as well if you want to see this the next episode come out sooner rather than later. But above all, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying it. I will see you next episode. Bye bye.